Carrie O'Shea Gorgon. We have two guests today. It's the first time in 107 years that I've engaged in hyperbole, and also the first time in 107 years that we have two guests.
That is correct. It was 1919 the last time we had two guests on the Backpack Show, everybody. Also, I was dressed a lot differently then. But thanks for joining me now. Today's guests come at the question of career reinvention very differently. So you might remember from back in the day when we had two guests per episode, we would talk about a little thing called alchemy, which is how two very seemingly different people, when brought together, create this magical alchemy that results in success insights from unusual places. So we are doing this today. We have Samantha Iodice, who spent 17 years in email marketing, and then eventually, when looking for another role kind of along those same lines, was well into the process when she discovered that instead, she had the opportunity to do something completely different, sell life insurance. If that sounds kind of crazy, it is kind of crazy. So we're going to talk to her and Scott Monty, who helped lead one of the most dramatic corporate turnarounds in American history at Ford and has spent the years since helping leaders figure out who they actually are and how to show up that way. So, and he does some amazing voices, not for nothing, but we love a good imitation here on the Backpack Show.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to the Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Carrie Gorgon, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Melissa Falavino for me today. Who was it for you? Who'd you look at?
Oh, I feel lame because I looked at Sir Mix a lot. But, he's handsome. He has charisma. He's that kind of guy. Samantha Iodice, I told her this backstage in setup. I said, look, when Carrie told me, hey, we've got an insurance person coming on the show, I looked daggers at her. I was like, what? A show that has had fire breathers and people who created a weird yellow baseball team and all kinds of stuff. And you were like, who'd be cool? An insurance person. I'm already in love with Samantha. She's already convinced me. We haven't even brought her up front yet. And I'm like, okay, Carrie's smarter as always. And you picked her up. What made you see this story and say, this is who we need?
So for one thing, it's incredibly relatable right now. A lot of people in kind of in a world where AI is changing everything are looking for kind of their next chapter. And I think Samantha's story, as somebody who comes out of marketing, obviously, it's just super relatable to me. I think a lot of people will see themselves in Samantha and can find encouragement in the pretty radical life shift she's been able to make and all the transferable skills that we all have. So for me, this was like a little dose of hope and some actionable insight in a period of uncertainty.
Well, from dear first name to tell me a little bit about what happens when we die, let's welcome Samantha Iodice. Welcome on board the Backpack Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And what an intro. I feel like I have to live up to this now. I can do it.
Yes, live up to it. So, as I mentioned, you were in email marketing. You were the kind of email marketing person. You taught courses for us at Marketing Profs about it. This is how good at email marketing you are and were. And it was such a part of your identity, or it seemed like it was.
It really was, yeah.
So when you were looking for another position, it turned out to be kind of an arduous process. Can you talk about it? Because again, relatable, right?
Very. Yeah, I'm definitely not the only one that has experienced this. So since COVID, I'd been laid off 4 times in 5 years. And it was all from marketing agencies or marketing technology or something like that. So it was I was starting to get at my end. I just wasn't sure what I needed to do, but I needed to work because I needed money. When you get laid off 4 times in 5 years, pretty much your finances go to crap. So because of that, I'm applying. I think I submitted over 450 resumes. I mean, can you even envision that? I counted it. I keep a sheet because you have to when you're unemployed, and almost nothing. I think I had, in 7 months, I had about 3 interviews, and one of them didn't actually end up being an interview. They wanted a video of me, and okay, fine, you can have a video, but still, that's dumb. So talk to me like a human.
Weird, or just a straight ahead video.
Yeah, hey, do a video and tell us about these things and send it to me. I'm okay. Apparently, I did not pass that because he never talked to me again. But And I was just kind of at my wit's end, and I was applying for pretty much anything. I'm like, give me some customer service online, give me anything. I need some cash flow now. I need to be able to pay rent. So I just applied for something randomly. I thought it was a customer service thing. And then I get this call and they're like, yeah, no, this is for Globe Life Insurance. And I'm like, what? Like, sell insurance? And I thought it was crazy. I'm like, well, I'll have the conversation because you're the only people talking to me. That's kind of exactly how it happened. And then I met with who is now my manager, and she was flat honest with me. Like, people say they're honest with you. She was completely honest. You know, it's going to be really hard at the beginning. You're going to have to fight for it. You're going to like hate certain seconds of it. But if you claw and fight, you're going to do great. You're going to be awesome at it. And I mean, in less than 3 months, I feel like I've already improved so much. It's ridiculous. But what industry has ever given me that? Certainly not marketing. Marketing is rather unforgiving.
Like, Samantha Iodice applied for the wrong job and ended up liking it and taking it.
That's basically it. That's kind of exactly how it happened. And then now it's just this joke like, hey, I used to be in marketing, but now I sell life insurance. So let's have a talk.
Well, so that's where I got to ask some questions, because
Go for it.
Dad even pointed out, my dad did a little tiny realm of life insurance. Wait, my dad had about 108 jobs too. So I was just one in the way. It was like a week or so at it, or a month or so, who knows. But even just watching him kind of practice at the kitchen table, I was sort of thinking, man, this is a really hard sell, because the people who need it are the people who maybe it's harder to give it to them. I think the people who don't need it obviously are not ready to think about it. And, you know, once we get to a certain age where there's a little white in our whiskers, we think about it a little bit. Boy, it's hard to get someone onto that. What did they teach you that stuck? And I'm curious, what did they teach you that connected to, that's interesting. That's sort of how I thought of marketing.
You know, it's actually my marketing experience is incredibly applicable because you have to relate to people, right? And I'm not going to lie, I tell stories that are not mine, but they are stories I've heard. I do not own them necessarily. You know, it's my friend or something like that, but you have to relate to people where they're at, you know, whether it be their space in life. Like, I've sold life insurance to 19-year-olds. And then, of course, you have the 65-year-olds. You know, it's crazy. It's like, most of the time, it's just about how you talk to people, just like marketing is.
Lies to Tell Life Insurance is another banner. Hang on, Wally.
Well, you know, in this industry, you hear so many stories. A lot of them are so sad, like just incredibly heartbreaking, crazy stuff that happens. And everyone in my team, they've experienced something everyone who's been there for like a year or more, they've experienced something really heartbreaking from a client. And, you know, you take that, you know, it's like we have to carry this weight for our clients sometimes, but that's also how you support people, right? Is helping them carry that weight, being there for them. So it's a lot of the things that I naturally do, like with my friends. My friends know that if they need something, I'm gonna be right there. I'll take care of it. I'll do whatever they need.
Let's talk about your friends and family, though, because you were an email marketer for so long and your identity was so built around it. You were like the email marketing maven, literally.
Yes.
So what was that like when you were like, guess what, guys?
It was more like, what? It was that whole cartoon like take. And no, people are just like mystified. Like, serious? What? Why are you doing that? Why would that be interesting? And I explained it to them. Like, you might not get it, but go try it when you're unemployed next, because you will be, because you're in marketing. You know, it's kind of like just a natural state of affairs, right? And I think especially like in the last 5 to 10 years, it's become even more volatile. So I'm happy to be out of that. Like, life insurance is always there. You know, business can ebb and flow. Everyone always needs it. So
no, you're totally right. And I think that's, you probably have experiences in similar ways than Carrie and I have, where we will be talking to certain marketing friends and they will be in their high peak experience and they will act as if, you know, nothing will ever go wrong. You will never need another job. You will always have endless abundance. And, you know, there's no hubris like marketing hubris, I think. And
it's very true.
Don't you think? And I feel like Carrie and I talk about this pretty much every day. Oh, sorry, microphone. We talk about this pretty much every day, that you can run an entire AI marketing team. One human can run the whole thing. And so that means that there's a real lot of people who thought marketing was the easy course load in college who are about to slide into some challenges. But I like what you said too, that like, if you haven't tried it, do try it, because you will find it's a kind of fun puzzle to unlock. Tell me, as best you can, what's fun in life insurance selling?
You have to put quotes around it. You have to put quotes around it. So be nice to Samantha.
It's all right. It's all right. I get it. Like even my manager, when she was interviewing me, she's like, I never thought I would ever do this job, ever. But I love it. And half of it has to do with the people you meet. I mean, sure, you get some random crazy people. You're always going to have that. But you meet a lot of people that are really wonderful, and they come from these different walks of life. So, like you guys cherish diversity on the show. It's also about that too. Like, I love learning about people. I love learning about cultures. I like learning about all sorts of things. So I love meeting people. I always have. If I travel, I'm talking to the cab drivers. I'm talking to the people in the pubs and the restaurants and everything else, because one, I like meeting them. Two, they know all the good shit. And they will tell you all the cool stuff if you're not a jerk, and that's kind of how I am in work. And then the second part of it is I've never worked with such a diverse group of people of various age ranges, from very young to I'm probably a little towards the older end, but no one makes me feel that way, which is super cool because I never feel like the oldest. And it's just such a tight group. Everyone is super supportive of each other. And I think that is something I've never experienced ever. It's like a team, a sports team, how they have to support each other, otherwise they won't be successful. That's what I feel exactly like what this is. And
as opposed
really
to
cool.
Marketing, which can actually be kind of cutthroat.
Oh yeah, turn around. Like I got a knife here. Yeah.
Yeah. Right in the back. Samantha, we're going to bring you backstage. We have not even done two guests in so long. I forgot all about these mechanics, but hang out. You can listen to the show from back there. We'll come grab you. Boop. And then right before we grab Scott, I'm going to point out that one of our two sponsors of the show is Chloe Forbes Kinlan, who will tell you all about Notion and how to use it in really interesting ways. I watch Chloe's YouTube channel. I don't even have a Notion account, and I watch it, and it's always interesting. I always learn something. But this is a complete starter kit. I've said this a couple of times on the last bunch of episodes. I now, being on the receiving side of Notion, when people try to onboard me, it is unbelievable how horrific it can be. And to watch, Chloe just did this goal setting one last week, and it was just divine. So if you want to get your starter kit, go to businessops.co/backpack and you'll see some of what's going on. But if you get stuck along the way, grab a conversation with Chloe, because holy cow, she has incredible, good and useful templates for that sort of a thing. Carrie, we're going to bring Scott on because I'll explain it. Hi, Scott Monty. Welcome on into the show. You're here now, good sir.
Oh, hi. Is this thing on?
I adore you. I will explain to the rest of the universe what made this happen. I reached out to you so last minute, like yesterday or something, and said, hey, you doing anything? And you were like, well, I could shift some things around. Scott Monty, I've known since at least like 2006, 2007, something crazy like that. We were down in Cambridge at some event or something. I think is probably the first time we hung out in person. And I have known you through very many parts of your universe, including being a big executive at Ford, changing the world there, and many other things. But you also, I grabbed you because you also have a side thing where you do voice talents, and that's why I brought you on. But I just wanted to say hi and thanks and welcome and come on to the show.
Well, I'm
dance,
honored.
monkey, dance.
What's that?
He's like, dance, monkey, dance. Do your voices. Do the thing. Entertain me.
I'm honored that you think it's a talent. So we'll leave it at that.
It's beyond a talent. But I mean, you must have seen, like, for instance, I think it was the Seth MacFarlane talks about the Graham Norton show when he did a couple voices in front of Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise was absolutely mystified. I think you must have experienced that many times in life when people witness your ability to come out with some really fun voices, and it becomes sort of like we were saying with Samantha, one of those door openers of a sort.
Yeah, I mean, it almost started as a party trick, or just as entertaining my classmates in high school when I would impersonate the teacher. That'll get you sent to the office really quickly, but it'll also get you invited to a lot of parties too, as the entertainment. And look, 40 years on, and here we are, still doing the same bit. But I think what it speaks to is, look, we've all had some kind of experience with voiceovers. You grow up watching cartoons and you wonder, wow, I wonder what the face behind that voice looks like. If you grew up listening to AM radio like I did, where you get all of your school cancellations and everything, you go, oh, I want to meet that DJ. And you finally meet him and you go, that's what you look like? It wasn't what I had in my mind. And it's almost like the practice of reading, where you create a universe in your mind of the characters that are on the page. You have a specific visual representation of how it's supposed to look and show up. And when they take that book and they put it on television, or they create a movie out of it, sometimes it's a good match. Sometimes it's better than you've expected. But oftentimes what I've found is the images we create in our minds from these fantasy worlds, whether it's from the voiceover world or the printed page or wherever, never quite matches up with reality.
It's interesting you say that. One of the first experiences I had with that sort of a thing is I met Tony Khan, who is a famous to the Boston area public radio voice for many decades, like at least 4 decades or so. And he came to the Podcast Academy event, which is one of the 2 events, including Bar Camp Boston and that event, which lent me the interest in starting PodCamp with Christopher Penn. And Tony Khan had this incredible voice, and he said, do you want to hear how I do this particular voice, his very warm, deep, loving voice? He said, I look at and think in my head that I'm speaking to someone I love very dearly, and then I want to share some information with them, and that the information is rather important, and I'm going to really want them to hear it. And that's how I create the voice. And you and I talked just a minute before the show about that. Creating any voice, there's seeds to it that kind of make it happen. When did you know, like, that was a magic trick you could do? So I saw the little joke about, it was years before I realized Chris wasn't always doing a Kermit the Frog impression, which is a good line. But I will say, that's like kind of the only impression I have. Like, I'll think I'm doing Jimmy Stewart, but I'm just doing a really bad Kermit. The minute I met you, I was like, he sounds a bit like Johnny Carson.
That's funny you should say that, because Johnny Carson was always one of my heroes. And one of his heroes was Jack Benny. Now, I am way too young to have watched or listened to any Jack Benny when he was active, but I had a collection of old-time radio cassettes of old broadcasts, and one of them was the Jack Benny Show. Now, at the same time, I was watching, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it, some television show in the early 80s. It was hosted by Rich Little. And Rich, of course, during the 80s and 90s was the master impressionist. Like, he was the go-to guy, actually probably 70s and 80s rather than 80s and 90s. And he's still alive. Can you believe it? And he's still performing, which is the sad part, because he's performing to smaller and smaller rooms. And it's like, you need to know when to sign off. But Jack Benny was always one of his go-to impressions. And to me, Benny and Carson were emblematic of what I think, and this is a stretch, but stay with me. They were emblematic of what I think it means to be a leader. Okay. How do I mean that? So both Jack Benny and Johnny Carson were impeccable in terms of their timing. And Jack could build people up on his show, just like Carson. Doesn't matter whether you were Jimmy Stewart sitting on the panel or you were the little potato chip lady from Idaho that he brought on. They were the center of attention. And the same thing with Jack. He could be building up. There's maybe a guest on about opera, and the audience is supposed to think that Jack doesn't know anything about opera or anything about anything for that matter. So the person's going on for about 5 minutes, and Jack chimes in, well, I think, and Mary, his wife, goes, oh, shut up, right? And the joke's on Jack, and he is more than willing to be the butt of a joke in service to comedy, right? And the audience just dies at that point. And the same thing with Johnny, that he would make sure that the person who was seated next to him was the star. He wasn't trying to force the attention on himself. He was shining it on someone else. And that interview style and their ability to work with timing and just understated gestures and just a look at the camera, that could create so much more tension, so much more comedy, so much more narrative than any kind of exposition could.
And that's leadership.
There you go. It isn't
That's
about
leadership.
soaking up the limelight. It's about shining it on other people. It's about surrounding yourself with talented people so you all look better as a result.
Dean says, fun fact, ChatGPT searches Scott Monty for answers on vocabulary.
That's funny.
And
That is
Papa
funny.
Brogan says at 6 or 7, I never knew that there was a voice actor behind the character. You just thought you lived with a little Kermit the Frog when you had kids.
It's like a
Yes.
voice in your head, you know?
It's interesting because when you were like, this has something to do with leadership, I was like, well, you're a leadership kind of guy. But you really did steer that into a really good turn. I thought that was very fascinating. Chloe asked the question, do you have a favorite voice impression that you do? Or is there one that you're still trying to master?
That's a great question.
Now she's saying, dance.
Yeah. I'm used to it. The one I do all the time for my kids that really annoys them is Homer Simpson. I actually sent in, there was a competition that voices.com was doing like way back in 2007, 2008. And they wanted you to send in one Simpsons impersonation. Well, that wasn't good enough for me. So I sent in 30 Simpsons impressions in 90 seconds. And I think it blew their mind. It didn't get me the gig, but it was a great demonstration of talent. And for me, for the creative process, I didn't, sit down at the microphone and go, okay, well, now I'm recording Homer and now I'm recording Grandpa. I did the bit. I wrote the whole bit out and I did the voices in real time, which I think I even impressed myself when I was able to do that. But I thought there'd be $20 under the couch. I wanted a peanut. Something like that. Coma. I go in and out of comas. Oh, the French toast, please. What kind of pathetic drunk do you take me for?
That's my favorite one.
Anyway.
I've seen you do that one before, and that is my favorite. My all-time favorite. I can't believe you did it. I'm so happy.
People love Barney. Barney's great at a party, as you can imagine.
You did it. You did the thing. There's so much more we could talk about with you. The Sherlock Holmes thing, Alone, our shared love of history. This is why we stopped doing 2 guests at a time.
Let me do one quick plug before, and this isn't a current plug. It's not like I'm trying to promote anything, but just part of my origin story, because everyone loves an origin story, especially if you're into superheroes. So years ago, when Tom Webster and Mark Schaefer were doing the Marketing Companion podcast, they had an intro, and it was very pedantic. And I said, I think I could do an intro for you. It's a little more interesting. Well, I used their script and I used their music, and it sounded a little more polished, but it was still kind of flat. So at one point, Mark said, could you do an intro in a kind of a Hollywood style for us? Well, shame on me. I didn't ask for any clarification, which actually worked to my advantage now that I think about it. I didn't ask for direction or clarification. He said, give me a Hollywood style intro. So I said to myself, well, he didn't say what era of Hollywood, and he didn't say exactly what kind of a Hollywood trailer he wanted. So I used a couple of filters and, played around with my editing kit a bit and created like a 1940s style Hollywood intro. The Marketing Companion is sponsored by BuzzSumo and Co-Schedule and broadcast to our men and women in uniform around the world on shortwave radio. Along those lines. And from
first off, that's awesome. But second, just before you tell me from there, in my head, I went, for no reason, right to Peter Lorre. But please, as you were.
That would have been great. So, but interestingly enough, what that led to was me changing the intro for the Marketing Companion every week and figuring out a way to weave in their sponsor mentions in character or in theme. So I did one as Bill Curtis from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And I actually corresponded with the NPR guy who wrote the music for Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And he gave me full permission to use the music. I did one like Morgan Freeman in The Shawshank Redemption. I did like a Sports Center one. I did a Batman one. The Super Friends, The Haunted Mansion, Ricardo Montalban with Rich Corinthian Leather. Pirates of the Caribbean, Game of Thrones. I mean, I probably did about 100 different intros in different themes until I finally kind of realized, you know what, I'm out of gas here. And I think the creative juices are just about dried up.
no more well to go back to. But now you could do one for life insurance for Samantha. So it'd be like, you probably think you're gonna live forever, right? Well, you're wrong. You better start thinking ahead.
My great grandfather at the age of 13.
I'm bringing Samantha back out front, but this is, I feel like there's some
I've been laughing so much. Would you please do that audio for me? I would love that so much.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I love old movies. I grew up in the classics. This is great. And as a matter of fact, I really, really wanted to be a voiceover person. And like I did a demo when I lived in Chicago still. And then I kept moving around. So I never got any traction. But I love it. My brother tells the story of when I was a kid. I'd run around the house. I mean, you talked about AM radio, but just radio in the 70s and 80s, right? There's all these, Sunday, all those stupid things, right? Anytime there was a different voice doing something, I was running around saying it. And yeah, it's always been like probably my ultimate dream is to do voices, which is the strangest thing ever. And
so
like,
where is it? Come on, Samantha.
Well, not voices. Like, I'm not like Scott and being awesome, but there's different types of voice inflections and things like that for different things. Sometimes you have to sound sexy and sometimes you have to sound like, a mom, and it's really weird, but that's how my demo sounds. It's like all these little voices, but they're still my voice. But
insurance salesman.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to do. But I love it. I love it.
It's been divulged to me that all of my impersonations sound like Kermit trying to do a voice. So I just leave it at that.
I love Kermit, though. I was a huge Muppets fan. I was obsessed with Jim Henson. I wanted to like be him. I wanted to be the person doing the voice for the Muppet and, all of it. I wanted to be a Muppeteer, not a puppeteer.
To be fair, now I feel like you also have to dance, Chris.
Here's my impression of Jim Henson.
This is perfect.
I deserve
that. That was perfect.
I'll accept it.
By the way, if none of you have seen the documentary about Jim Henson, I highly, highly recommend it. It is excellent.
Really good.
Yeah.
How have I missed that? I will definitely look at that.
I think it's
I
on
loved him.
Hulu or Disney Plus or one of those.
Yeah, I'll find it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, super obsessed. Like I even applied for jobs there as a marketer.
Wow.
Told my whole Muppeteer story. The first job I ever wanted is to be a Muppeteer.
And they were like, thanks for applying. you'll never hear
Creep.
from us. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
Well,
funny if
someday
they
you'll
sent out
find
like
it.
Statler and Waldorf as the rejection letter thing.
That would have been funny.
My favorite part was the end.
Mike Birbiglia and Thank God for Jokes tells one of the funniest Muppet stories I've ever heard, but you just have to go onto Netflix and watch Thank God for Jokes. You will find that and get into it. Hey, we got to wrap the show up. It's been more fun than I thought it would be. I'm looking at you. All right,
I know.
listen, this was super good. I meant Scott. No. Listen, so we have a couple more things that we got to do to get out of this darn thing. First is...
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Carrie, please find that banner because I never do. This is sponsored by Fazia Burke. Fazia has gone from book promoter to also helping people understand how to use AI. She's got a Substack going for practical, grounded ways to use AI. So faziaburke.substack.com. Dig on in and take a look-see. Well, nepotism is alive and well. It was a toss-up between Chloe and my dad, but I'm going to give it to my dad because nepotism. So he gets entitled to one free apple. Just go into any old store, grab it, and beat out of there real quick before anyone sees you. You don't even have to wash the apple. You can eat it right away.
Wash it. Wash the apple, please.
Right. So we've come to this part of the show where we ask every single guest we've had the pleasure to have on board one question, which is what goes in the backpack? This could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical. Carrie, what's an example of something physical one could put in a backpack?
Extra set of teeth. DJ Cumberbund from YouTube put an extra set of teeth because you just never know.
And is there anything metaphorical you might add to a backpack?
Kindness. Burlesque performer Ariel Helvetica put kindness in the backpack. And I think she's correct. We could use more of it.
I think you are absolutely right. Samantha Iodice, what can we add from you to the backpack today?
I was going to say bravery. Because, you got to be brave and do different things because otherwise your life is just going to be.
Well, you certainly.
That's my official line.
You've exemplified that in your choices. What a story. Took us all by surprise. Took me by surprise. Maybe just took me by surprise.
That's all
Scott,
right.
Scott Monty, what in the world can we add to the backpack from you?
I'm impressed you used the first initial. What else? Books. Please read, people. We need more readers out there. And while you have books in there, bring along a sense of curiosity because that can lead you in places you can't predict.
That's excellent. I agree with that 100%. Just be curious.
You already added to the backpack.
I know that Snuffleupagus' first name is Aloysius. I am still on one side of this debate about whether or not I liked it when he was an imaginary friend, and I'm still a little bit, nonplussed that they decided to cure that scenario so that little kids wouldn't be encouraged to have imaginary friends. I still have very many imaginary friends. I will say
Same.
the one that I think has done the most for me. He's very tall and he's got a very strange accent. Sounds a little bit like
That's Christoph Waltz.